Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to SFF 180. And I am bringing you this morning along with a new mailbag, which should be up about a half an hour from now as of the posting of this video. Of course, if you're catching it later in the day, they're now both up for you. But in addition to today's mailbag, I'm bringing you this new feature, which I'm calling my halftime report. We are halfway through the month of January 2022, and I wanted to do this new thing where I give you guys an update on my reading progress. This is a common piece of content that a lot of other channels do on the regular, you know, my weekly wrap-up, monthly wrap-up, what have you. I've never really done that sort of thing before, but I'm starting now as a way of, again, continuing the level of motivation that I'm having right now, have had for the first 2 weeks of the year, to really get on a good regular rhythm with my reading and pick it up. And it's been working because considering my progress this month, my reading throughput has been so much higher than it usually is, especially when you consider the entire year of 2021 was really slumpy for me in terms of getting really good new review coverage content onto the channel and just reading in general. So far this year, this first half of the first month of this year has just been so much better for me overall. As of the middle of January, I have read 2 books to completion. One, of course, is The Starless Crown by James Rollins, which I have already reviewed here on the channel. And the other is a Tor.com short novel from a few years back called The Monster of Elendhaven by Jennifer Geisbrecht. I have already posted my written review of that book onto my Goodreads as well as the SFF180.com website, but I will be reviewing it also here on the channel as part of a video that I'm going to do featuring about, I'd say, 3 to 4 total Tor.com fantasy novellas and short novels that I need to catch up on. You know, stuff that I missed the first time around due to slumps or whatever. Usually I found that when I do some of the Tor.com coverage, if I pack multiple novellas into a single video, it does a lot better in terms of the views. And so I'm going to be doing it that way here. But I have also begun 2 other novels that I am a decent chunk of the way into, and I should finish at least one of them this coming week. The new one that I have started is Age of Ash by Daniel Abraham, beginning his new series, Kithamar. And the other one is my reread of Black Leopard Red Wolf in preparation for Moon Witch Spider King, which will be out mid-February. So I wanted to reread Black Leopard Red Wolf as a way of refreshing my memory and kind of getting the juices flowing back on that, you know, just so I go into the second book ready for it, right? And I got to tell you, Black Leopard Red Wolf on a second reading is just even more just incredible. You know, I loved it passionately the first time I read it. I know it's a book that's maybe a little bit too adult, a little too rules-breaking for a lot of the folks here on BookTube. But I just found it absolutely stunning. But on a second reading, so much more just comes out of the text and out of the subtext, out of the entire narrative at you. And it is so much easier to get into the flow of it because it is such, again, like I said already, it is a rules-defying work and it sets its own rules and you have to kind of catch up to where it is. And the first time I remember when I reviewed it, I said the first 100 pages of this book are a real litmus test. They're tough. It's really tough. You've kind of got to get into the zone of this book. Upon second reading, those first 100 pages have just flown by. It's just such a revealing piece of work, you know, just like layers under layers under layers. And it's just what great fantasy ought to be, what great literature ought to be. And so, yeah, I'm very glad I've done this and gotten underway with it. And I am really, really, really now ready for Moon Witch Spider King. So that's going to be coming up right next. But anyway, as of the middle of January, I have read, between the 2 finished books and the 2 that I am in progress with, a total of 906 pages. And that's really good for me for 2 weeks. I am not one of these booktubers who can just blow through a 400-page book every day, right? I'm not one of these super lightning fast readers. Wish I were, but that's just kind of not how my brain rolled out. But I'm a very thorough and very intense and dedicated reader. When I sit down and just like devote the hours to it. And I've been doing that. I've been so much better disciplined. And it's just been fantastic. And of course, you sit down and read, just books do of their own nature, I think, just fly by for you. That has been my reading progress so far. And it bodes really well, just not only for the rest of January, but for, I think, the rest of 2022 for me. I'm very, very excited. Now, as I've already mentioned, I've gotten started back up on Goodreads, so I'm doing, posting my reading progress reports up there. I am still using or attempting to use Storygraph. I have to admit, I am still not that crazy about it as an app. I understand that what people really love about it are if you're the kind of reader who's really obsessed with your stats, like you love looking at little pie charts, breaking down everything you've read by category and mood and publisher and page count and this or that. Yeah, it's really good for that. It's very much that kind of a real statistics oriented app for readers. But there are other things that I really don't like about it, such as I don't like the way that it forces you to review a book simply by checking off checklists, right? Little drop-down menus of adjectives. Don't like that. I think that actually devalues the experience because it turns it treats books, or it seems to treat books, like product, right? Like I would answer a survey about, what did you think of this new vacuum cleaner? How do you like your new fridge? Well, it does this, click, and it does this, and it's really good at doing this, click, click. I can see doing it for that kind of product, right? But for a book, right? A book is an intensely personal interaction between artist and audience, and it just seems so banal to say, I would describe this book as adventurous, upbeat, dark, mysterious, suspenseful, right? Just it does not really reflect the true emotional experience of what taking a book into your mind and into your heart can do for you. And then, of course, there's also a giant drop-down menu of, well, what are all the content warnings? And it gives everything that people could possibly be triggered by. And I understand that that is a really good service to have for people who want to have those kinds of warnings on what they read. I think that's a good service. It's not necessarily, I've never needed trigger warnings, but I understand that there are people who appreciate those. And so that's fine. But I don't think, at least Goodreads, for all of its failings and flaws, allows you to just post a proper normal review, right? So I'm not 100% behind Storygraph like a lot of people seem to have been. I understand what Storygraph is attempting. And like I said, I'm there so I'll go ahead and leave the link to my Storygraph below if you want to friend me there or whatever. I've also updated all of my links to all my social media online presence in the description. So anyway, that's it. It's been a good first half of January for me, and I'm looking forward to the second half because some really exciting things are kind of on my plate for not just the rest of January, but going into February as well. February, I've got big plans. So anyway, thank you all so much for joining me on this. Keep an eye out. The mailbag should be here or coming up soon if you're watching this fresh. And until I see you all next time, stay safe and healthy, and happy reading.